today. We'll get started in a few more minutes. I see a lot of our leaders are still joining today's call. So just bear with us for 2 to 3 more minutes and then we'll get started. Got Tallahassee here, San Diego. We got Miss Pam Hubbard in Cleveland. We got Trisha from Tallahassee, Louis from LA, Callie Gold, Cincinnati is in the house. We got Miami, Florida. I hope I said it right. Awesome. This is awesome. This feels like a family reunion when we all get together as part of Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice. We'll give it another 2 minutes and then we'll get started. We got more Stockton leaders in the house. We got Miss Charlene here from Cali, Richmond. I see we got Lindsay Linder in the house. Hey, Lindsay from Austin, Texas. We got Rock from St. Anthony in Chicago. I see you, Doris from Chicago. We're going to get started in 1 more minute. Thank you all very much for your patience. If you are just tuning in, if you are calling in from your computer, you should be able to see my screen. If you are calling in from your mobile phone and you have the Zoom app, you also should be able to see my screen by scrolling over to the right on your phone. And if you are just calling in from your cell phone and can't see today's presentation, no worries at all, as we'll be sending out the recording from today's town hall. So we got a lot of our CSSJ team on the line. So we got Tanish, we got Trisha, Jonathan. I see some of our policy leaders on the call, John Cutler, and also can't forget about Juan Pablo, Kiwi. We got a lot of our ASJ and our CSSJ team on today's calls. And so our work at Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice, not just our survivor organizers, trainers on the ground in communities. We have a powerful team of leaders across the country that are working in communications, our research, our operations team. We are led by our leadership of Robert Brooks, our vice president, and Lenore Anderson, our president. So you all will be getting to know more of our staff over the next few days, the next few weeks, the next few months as we continue to be more involved in virtual organizing. So awesome. So let's get started with today's town hall. My name is Aswad Thomas. I am the Managing Director for Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice, and I am based in Atlanta, Georgia. We also are joined by several of our colleagues today from the Survivor Speak team. So I wanted to hand it over to our Survivor Speak team to introduce themselves.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning from Los Angeles, California. My name is Anna Cho, Survivor Speak Campaign Director.
Good morning,
Good morning,
everybody. My name is, oh, go ahead, Quincy.
No, you got it. Go ahead.
All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Eris Edie. I'm the Survivor Speaks program organizer, and I am from Cleveland, Ohio. Greetings.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Quincy Bates. I am the events manager for Survivor Safety and Justice, and I'm based in Houston, Texas.
Awesome. Thanks, team. And we also have our other CSSJ team members on today's call. Tanisha Hollins, our state director in California. Trisha Forbes, our regional trainer in Texas. Jonathan Lewis, Tashante McCoy, David Gizar, Juan Pablo Chavez, Brittany Dow. And so we are a team of organizers, a team of trainers, a team of leaders. So you all will be hearing from our other team members as we continue to do more organizing in events virtually across the country and in your state. So just a brief overview of today's agenda. On last week's town hall, we just provided a high-level overview on our national call to action. So today I'll spend a few more minutes talking about our national call to action, our Survivor Speak team, which I'm very excited about to share what we have planned for you all as it relates to Survivor Speak events. So Anna Cho and team will just provide a history about Survivor Speak, go over some of our campaign goals and our upcoming week of actions during National Crime Victims' Rights Week. And then we'll end with our closing announcements and next steps. And as a reminder, Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice is a national network of crime survivors joined together to create healing communities and shape public policy. We are a flagship project of the Alliance for Safety and Justice. We are working to build a movement to heal together, to share our stories, and to promote policies that help the people and communities most harmed by crime and violence, but far too often least supported by the justice system. And so we're excited to be with all of you today from states across the country. Many of you are already members of Crime Survivor Safety and Justice. Some of you are new to the Crime Survivor Safety and Justice family. Many of you have attended meetings, chapter meetings, trainings, events, have signed petitions online, have been part of our Facebook group. And so we just really thank you and appreciate all your actions and all of your work as survivors, working with survivors to help advance public safety policies that put the needs of survivors at the center. We are stronger today. We are now 42,000 members and growing every day. And we are excited with the leadership that we have built over the past few years and see today as an opportunity to elevate our work and call on our national and state leaders to expand crisis assistance and safely reduce incarceration. On last week's town hall, I briefly went over what we are calling for at the Alliance for Safety and Justice and Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice. Today, I want to just provide just more details on our call to action that we are working on in states across the country to provide opportunities, for us as survivor leaders to advocate for the things that we need. Number one, we want to make sure that we are expanding crisis assistance services and also making sure that critical assistance services are deemed essential, such as domestic violence shelters, violence prevention, transitional living services, nonprofit and faith-based organizations, and other individuals and organizations that are on the front lines to violence to make sure that we are classifying those as very important essential services. We are also working to immediately expand emergency shelter options for people without safety, including domestic violence victims, gun violence survivors, human trafficking, child abuse survivors, and also advocating for those who need reentry housing for, are being released from state prisons, local jails. We need to advocate that those individuals have safe housing as well. We also are working to advocate to establish a crisis assistance emergency fund in the event federal funding is made available. We are urging federal legislators via Congress, and also are working in key states across the country to advocate for crisis assistance with state legislators. We also want to make sure that we are accelerating application reviews and reduce bureaucratic barriers to things like the victim compensation program, public benefits, and also emergency houses or other crisis support. So vulnerable people don't face delays to assistance and get into safety. We also are working to ensure critical community services can transition to an online platform so that those in need are able to access virtual help. We know that for many survivors at this time, services are very critical to help provide safety and to also to provide things like teletherapy and telehealth. And so we want to make sure that we are advocating for service providers have the technology to provide teletherapy to survivors that are in need. We also are working to expand, reinforce, or establish crisis assistance navigator hotlines and tele-wellness checks to connect vulnerable people to care. We see this as a time where survivors need support on a daily basis. And if survivors have any issues related to safety, that they are able to call someone or call into a hotline to get them the support and help that they need. We also want to advocate to eliminate rules that prevent people with past convictions from eligibility for federal and state housing, victims compensation, and employment to facilitate access to safe shelter and reduce exposure to the coronavirus. And as part of our work at Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice and the Alliance for Safety and Justice, we are an organization that advocate for reducing incarceration across the country. And so part 2 of our national and state call to action is to safely reduce incarceration by focusing on accelerating testing and the release of people in prison with reentry plans that include health access and shelter, especially for the elderly, sick, people who pose no risk, and people that will be released soon anyway with limited time remaining on their sentence. We want those individuals to have a reentry plan as they are being released from prison. We also want to prioritize and make sure that state leaders, Department of Corrections are able to authorize and expand non-incarceration options for people entering jail for low-level crime, pretrial detention, in cases that do not involve a safety risk, in cases that usually result in short incarceration terms. We want to be smart about how we are looking at safety in prisons and jails, and also safety in communities. We want to make sure that our main priority is to help stop the spread of this violence by providing the support and resource needed to those that are coming home from prison. And we also want to prevent people on probation or parole from unnecessary incarceration and exposure by terminating probation or parole supervision for people that have been compliant and are at low risk to recidivate. So stop returning people on probation or parole to incarceration for minor technical violations. We want to shift from in-person supervision to remote reporting and season penalties for violations of probation or parole that are dependent on family stability. So we want to expand crisis assistance to many of you all who are on the front lines to violence. And we also want to make sure that we are safely reducing incarceration. And so I wanted to stop there and wanted to have just two quick polls to hear from you all via the chat box. The first poll is, are crime survivors getting access to the support and services they need to heal and recover from violence during this crisis? Please respond to this poll. Once again, if you are accessing this today's town hall via computer, you will be able to participate in the poll. If you are just calling in our follow-up email, we will also include these questions for you to answer all the polls that we will be releasing today. And so the question, are crime survivors getting access to the support and services they need to heal and recover from violence during this crisis? At the moment, we have 89% of you on the call that have responded to this poll is saying no. Crime survivors are not being supported at this time. And so we want to continue to advocate for survivors to get the services, the resources that they need. 92% now is saying that survivors aren't getting access to support and services. Here we are, y'all. 93% of you have responded that majority of crime survivors in your local community, in your state, across the country, aren't getting access to the support and services that they need to heal and recover. And that must change. And that's why we, as members of Crime Survivor Safety and Justice, are working to change this from happening, to make sure that survivors get the support and services that they need. And before we transition, I wanted to have another poll. Wanted to hear from you all. I just went over the Alliance for Safety and Justice and Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice call to action to expand crisis assistance, to provide an infrastructure for service providers who are providing services to victims. We want to expand resources. We want to expand technology across the country at the local and state level. So our call to action is to expand crisis assistance and also make sure that we are safely reducing incarceration. So I wanted to hear from you all. Do you all agree with the Alliance for Safety and Justice and Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice call to action to expand crisis assistance and safely reduce incarceration? Please, if you can, respond to the poll that we've just launched. Once again, the question is, do you agree with ASJ and CSSJ call to action to expand crisis assistance to better help and protect survivors and victims of crime and to safely reduce incarceration that include re-entry plans for those individuals that are being released from prison? Wow, this is amazing. Our members are speaking today. So far, there's 98% of you agree with our call to action. This is awesome to hear from you all from across the country on the need to expand crisis assistance and safely reduce incarceration. Over the next few weeks, this is our call to action across the country. In key states that we are working in, we are going to be pushing legislators to support what we are calling for. In crime victims, you as survivors, you all have an important role in justice reform and helping to advocate. And so we will be in touch with you over the next few days, weeks, on how you can get involved, how you can call state legislators, write legislators, tweet legislators, and how you can be involved with this call to action to help stop the spread and expand crisis assistance and safely reduce incarceration. So majority of us on today's call 98% agree with our call to action to reduce incarceration by stopping the spread, by expanding crisis assistance. And so more to come on our work over the next few weeks and how you can get involved with our call to action. Now I wanted to hand it over to Anna Cho from the Survivor Speak team to lead us on our next phase of this town hall to talk about our work at Survivor Speak. Anna Cho.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Trying to get out of this poll as well. It's popping up on my screen. Good morning, afternoon, everyone. My name is Anna Cho. I'm the Survivor Speak campaign director. I know a lot of you from California and I've met other folks from just this last year of having events in your states. Just want to start by introducing some of our team. We have Quincy Bates joining us. He's our events manager. Eris Edie, our project organizer. You're going to hear from both of them later in this portion of the presentation. But also definitely want to shout out all the partners and founder circle in particular, Miss Adela, Akila, David, all from Los Angeles. This event has a long history and we definitely stand on the shoulders of giants and our partners and founder members. So all of this is a vision that has been really led by survivors and for survivors. So next slide, Aswad. You can see from here just a couple of our photos from various events. But Survivor Speak was really began by a group of survivors because there was a missing voice, just like this call to action that we're talking about now in this pandemic. It's important that survivor voices, people that are most impacted, most harmed, are always at the table of decision making and sort of informing where resources are allocated. So similar to that theme, that's where a group of survivors really came to the Capitol. And so this event started in California. But what we've learned in going across the country, speaking to survivors all across the country, is that we had similar unaddressed needs, similar unmet resources, and a really similar narrative in terms of how safety was being approached. So I'm gonna pause there because this next slide, we have a video that was sort of telling the story of Survivor Speak. This was, or this is our 7th year of Survivor Speak. So you guys know that this was going to be our biggest year yet. We were going to be in 7 state capitals. We started off strong with our state of Florida. So shout out to Florida, who we don't want to forget. You guys did pull off a really historical event and really kicked off the season, setting a really high bar. So just want to show a lot of love and send a lot of love to the Florida partners. Ohio, you guys were next up, and I know that we were just weeks away from being able to execute that event. So Ohio, we also just see you and love you guys and everything that you did to try and get survivors there. So this was a video that just tells the story of Survivor Speak the past 7 years. I'm gonna pause there and ask you guys, if you are on video, to take a second to turn up your volume. As well, I was gonna screen share this, but if you are on your phone or your video, hopefully you can at least listen into the narration.
The whole narrative around how we respond to crime and tough on crime, those policies, they weren't informed by us. Like, that's really a political debate. It has nothing to do with what crime survivors really want or need.
In 2019, we saw Survivor Speak grow to 5 states as thousands of crime survivors across the country traveled to their capitals to make our message heard. We shared our stories with lawmakers, reporters, and we were joined by public officials, artists, and entertainers. We began to change the narrative on who we are and what justice and safety really means.
What we're asking for is to help change the criminal justice system. We're spending billions of dollars on a system that doesn't make us safe. And if that system don't make us safe, we have to set forth a new vision for safety. So that means more restorative justice programs, more trauma recovery centers across the country.
Crime survivors actually want more investments into rehabilitation, prevention, trauma recovery, and treatment to stop the cycle of crime.
Today, we are over 40,000 members strong, with 38 chapters around the country. We advocated to help pass criminal justice reforms in Florida while increasing access to victim services. In Illinois, we've partnered with state leaders to reduce incarceration, increase rehabilitation, and secure record investments in trauma recovery services. Ohio now has the second most trauma recovery centers in the nation, and California continues to advance justice reforms that improve safety and increase access to crime victim services. All because when survivors speak, change happens. Now in our 7th year, Survivor Speak is coming to 7 states. Thousands more will gather in over 50 U.S. cities during our National Healing Vigil Day of Action on April 25th to honor the loved ones we've lost, recognize our own survivor experiences, and elevate our vision for safety. This year, let's change history and turn our healing to action. Join us. So that was just a highlight reel we were going to be posting for our 7th year of events. I wish I could see you all right now. Just reading the comments. Yeah, it was really powerful just being part of that and sort of thinking back to how this event has grown. You guys can see from the slide, and I'll just read out some of the stats, but in 2013, this event started with just less than 100 crime survivors, like I said, coming to the Capitol just to bring our voices to the state Capitol. It was called Get on the Bus, very quick turnaround. And then it's since then grown into not only this conference, but now this national event that has been in 7 states. So where does that take us now? Can you go to the next slide? You guys can see that we were planning to be in 7 state capitals. And so I think we're all just kind of taking a breath. You guys know that we have spent the last 2 weeks just really checking in with members. We really want to always be led and guided by what's really happening and impacting, our partners and folks on the ground, our families. And so we've just been talking to you all you guys. These surveys are also an avenue for us to make sure we're being led by our own community, and we'll continue to put in those type of communication streams as much as possible online and also just through direct phone banking. And what you're going to see next is just an opportunity for us to come together online, but just as a movement overall, and really working toward this stop the spread campaign. And I'm going to stop there and kick it over to my colleague Eris, and just we'll leave it at that. And that we, I think we always say that at this intersection of any sort of trauma or crisis is also resilience and overcoming. So this is just really an opportunity for us to come together as a country, as a movement, to reset ourselves and just to vision something different. So pause there and kick it over to Eris to tell you what we're coming up with.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad that you all are here to have over 120 participants on a Thursday. It just brings me joy to have this digital community, and so for that I am grateful. So I'm going to go over our campaign goals. Did we do that already, Anna, or do we need the next slide? Okay, so for the Survivor Speaks campaign goals, the first goal is to build a long-lasting capacity in our regional chapters. We know that we are spread out far and wide, but we are hoping that we can use and leverage the tools of technology to bring us closer together. And so that hasn't changed. So when we come together in our cities and at our state houses, we want to be able to bring that same energy to Survivor Speaks, no matter what capacity we're doing it in. Goal number 2 is to develop crime survivors for safety and justice as the leading constituency, expert voice, and policy influencer in the state and federally. This is a little bit different for us. We typically only really focus in on state level policies, but different times calls for different measures. And so we're being called to be collectively working to make change at the federal level. And goal number 3 is to win campaigns that elevate who crime survivors are, what crime survivors need to heal, and what solutions survivors are calling for. As always, survivors are at the center of every single thing that we do. This has not changed one bit. As I keep the next slide for me, please. So what we are calling for, and I'm going to look at mine because that's writing's a little bit small for me in my eyes today. And so what we are calling for is to stop the spread. Everyone, even though I can't hear you, I just want you to say, stop the spread, right? That's what that's the message that we are spreading. We represent survivors of crime who are people living with convictions and organizations who are serving them. And there's an urgent need to ensure vulnerable communities are equipped to stop the spread. And so we need Congress to act. And that means that they need to act quickly to stop the spread among vulnerable communities. 1, by rapidly expanding capacity of crisis assistance services and organizations. And 2, safely reducing unnecessary incarceration. The stronger the community, the more equipped it is to stop the spread. And so that's why I went over some of those things earlier. And so continue to say, stop the spread, all right? So how are we going to get this here word out? And I see you all shouting it out in the chat. Keep it going. Put it in all caps. Start using that hashtag on social media now, because everybody's going to be asking, what is stop the spread? What is stop the spread? You all can start moving this message along really, really quickly. All right, so this is what we're really excited to share with you all, which is our Survivor Speaks 2020 virtual activities. So we're taking all that good and fun energy that we have when we get together and hug each other in person, and we're about to do a lot of digital and virtual hugs, y'all. And so we're gonna start this week from April 19th through April 25th, and we're gonna start on Sunday with Survivor Sunday. Survivor Sunday is really gonna be highlighting our survivors, telling their stories, and that's what we know to do best. On Monday, we're going to do our CSSJ Survivor Vision and quick kickoff for National Crime Victims' Rights Week, all right? And so that means we're gonna be having a press conference and things like that going on, typical to what you would see at our traditional Survivor Speaks. The next day will be our National Advocacy Day. That hashtag that you all are using right now is how we're going to be able to advocate for ourselves and advocate for others. And so we want you all to be able to join us on Tuesday, April 24th for Advocacy Day. On Wednesday, April 22nd, I'm really, really excited about this. We're doing Wellness Wednesday. This is gonna be a launch for what we are going to continue to do every week. Every Wednesday, we're gonna come together to do a wellness activity. That wellness activity could be dancing together, meditating together, maybe a cooking class. You never know. The opportunities are going to be endless, and so we will be engaging you all with Wellness Wednesday. On Thursday, we're going to have our panel presentations. We love our panel discussions. This is where we really get to hear great stories from folks from all over the country. And so we're going to take time to really do that on Thursday. And then on Friday, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to have some more information, some more opportunities for us to learn and to grow and to connect. And then on Saturday, y'all, we're going to have a party. We're doing our Survivor Speaks virtual conference featuring presentations, special guests, live performances, and of course, our moment of silence. And so we are jam-packing the entire week to what we sometimes accomplish with Survivor Speaks in a day. And I'm really, really excited that we all are going to be able to be together in this way. All right. So next slide. I'm going to pass it over to Quincy, who's going to talk a little bit about our registration process.
Thanks, Aries and Anna. So for registration, I want everyone to be on the lookout for an email. As well, constantly check your social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for postings. That's going to start on Monday, April 6th for the virtual conference. We're going to release the registration link there. You have it in your email. You'll see it online where you can click on the link there in our bios and go on there, register for the conference, make sure that we get your information so that we can stay in constant contact with you, send you reminders about the conference, give you updates about the conference, about some of our special guests, some of our entertainers, things like that. We constantly want to let you know. All the other events outside of Saturday's conference will be open to the public. That will not require any type of registration. You can share that widely with all of your networks. And also be on the lookout for phone calls from our CSSJ staff and chapter leader. You will be receiving a phone call. We're going to start what we call phone banking, just to get the word out and make sure that you are fully aware of everything that we'll be offering in the coming days. Next slide.
Yep, thank you, Quincy. Before we get into the next steps, I'm just really excited about Survivor Speak moving to the virtual world of organizing. So just want to I had two more polls that I wanted to hear from you all. So our next poll is, have you ever attended a Survivor Speak event in the past? If that was a Survivor Speak California, Florida, Illinois, Ohio, if you've participated in our National Healing Vigil Day of Action. So wanted to hear from you now. If you are logging in from your computer or mobile device and are looking at a screen, the poll is active. If you are just calling in on your phone, we will also send out these questions in a follow-up email. So the first poll, wanted to hear, have you ever attended a Survivor Speak event? Please feel free to put in the chat box, some of your favorite moments from Survivor Speak. And it's looking so far on today's call, we got 83% of you have participated in a Survivor Speak event before. The other 17%, we're excited for you to become first timers of the Survivor Speak event. And so it's a powerful moment that we do in local capitals across the country. And now we will take over the virtual space during National Crime Victims Rights Week. So excited to hear a lot of you are actively engaged, have participated in Survivor Speak event in the past, or just new to our network. Excited for you to be part of Survivor Speak this year. So one last poll, wanted to hear from you all. Eris, Anna, and Quincy shared just information about what we are looking to do for Survivor Speak this week. So I wanted to, are you planning to participate in our Survivor Speak Week of Actions and our virtual conference on April 25th? So I want to hear from you. Are you planning to participate in our Survivor Speak Week of Actions and our virtual conference? So please respond to the poll that is on your screen, or please let us know in the chat box if you are planning to participate in our Survivor Speak 2020 virtual campaign. Awesome. So before we get off today's town hall, just wanted to go over some closing announcements and next steps. As Quincy mentioned, we will be sending out the Survivor Speak registration form next week via email, and also we will be posting on our social media pages. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll make sure that those links to our social media pages are in the follow-up email that we'll be sending out. As a reminder, we will continue to work to elevate the ASJ and CSSJ call to action to expand crisis assistance and to safely reduce incarceration across the country and in key states that we are working in. We are finalizing our CSSJ member assessment survey to hear from you all on how COVID-19 is affecting you as a survivor. So that will be sent out in the next week or two. Many of you have signed up to join our new advocacy care team. So that's ACT. Our advocacy care team is our network of volunteers that will be participating in our phone banking activities, calling other members in your state. And so we will be planning our first virtual training for everyone that signed up via the advocacy care team, our network of volunteers who will be helping to recruit and organize members to attend upcoming actions. If you haven't signed up to join our advocacy care team, that link will be in the follow-up email for you to join that network if you want to become a volunteer. As the Survivor Speak team mentioned, they will be working hard in addition to our other CSSJ team members, our leadership of the organization, to plan our first virtual conference for Survivor Speak during National Crime Victims' Rights Week. And so we are excited to be with you. We are excited to partner with you. We are excited to support this new effort for our organization is to provide opportunities for healing, connection, and advocacy through our new virtual Survivor Speak conference. So mark your calendars. April 19th through April 25th is our week of actions during National Crime Victims' Rights Week, and we are going to be driving all activities during that week to convene for our virtual conference on April 25th. And so thank you all very much for joining today's town hall. If there are any questions before we get off, please, I will allow 2 minutes, a few more minutes to any questions, please submit that to us in the chat box. Or if you have any questions from anyone on the CSSJ team, do not hesitate to call or email us. We're excited to be planning our Survivor Speak virtual conference. We're excited to not only for you to be involved, but share this information with other crime survivors in your family, in your community. If you work for an organization serving survivors, share this information widely, because we want Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice and the Alliance for Safety and Justice to have the biggest virtual conference for survivors on April 25th. So once again, thank you all. Thank you all as members of CSSJ. Thank you all as leaders of CSSJ. On behalf of Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice and the Alliance for Safety and Justice, thank you very much, and we'll be talking with you soon. So check your email, follow us on social media, and be on the lookout for the link to the registration for the virtual conference next week. Thank you all. Love you. Talk to you later. Have a good and safe weekend, and we'll be talking to you soon. Bye, everyone.